Hey there, gorgeous souls, and welcome to day 16. Yes, day 16. I'm always guessing of the Choosing Love Over Fear challenge. And today I've got a really kind of cool message that kind of blew my mind, having this kind of perspective. And it's really, really helpful for those of us who want to live a really consciously designed life. We want to wake up from just getting stuck in patterns of survival and just kind of going around on the hamster wheel. And instead, we actually want to live beyond our compulsive nature, and we want to actually choose a conscious lived existence. So if this one resonates with you guys, I'd love to hear from you. So as always, please do play along at home, share some comments, your own experiences, any words of wisdom, or any questions that arise for you, and we can investigate and explore it in this topic. Whether you're joining me live or you're catching the recording, I'll jump back in and check in with you if you do have anything that you want to contribute to the conversation. But let's get into it. So think about it this way. When we are living consciously or we're living compulsively, the real difference is just in whether or not we are aware of the patterns that we are engaged in or not, right? We're either compulsively working in these patterns, taking actions in these unconscious patterns, or we are living consciously with awareness of our patterns and positioning ourselves at choice point so that we can then determine the next action that we will take, right? Consciously designing our life rather than defaulting unconsciously into a compulsive existence. All right, so with that laid out, right, the only difference between a conscious existence and a compulsive one is being aware of our patterns and positioning ourselves at choice point for conscious living versus being totally unaware of our patterns and just compulsively existing and living. All right, and not really living, just stuck in an illusion, just stuck in this same old hamster wheel of life. All right, so what is the pattern? What is the pattern that we need to be aware of so that we can shift from compulsiveness to actually conscious living? The pattern is a mixture of physical, the mental, the emotional aspects that make up who you are. All right, so what actually happens is for every single, and I really want you to get this, this is not that easy to understand, and we're not going to go into all the science of it right now. We're just going to let this land, and you can test this out for yourself through your own barometer of your own physical body. And I'll let you know the best tool that I use to actually really understand this system. But let's understand this first. For every physical sensation in any part of your body, it has a corresponding mental fluctuation, right? A thought pattern connected to every single sensation on your physical body, in your physical body. And it has a corresponding chemical reaction, right? So on a biological level, there's a chemical reaction to every physical sensation and mental fluctuation, which is your emotion. All right, so the chemical reaction is the emotion that then gets generated. So this is how we look at every single pattern that you may or may not identify with. Every sort of compulsion that you have is a mixture of a physical sensation, a mental fluctuation or a thought, and a corresponding emotion or a chemical reaction, which is what's actually going on in your system. And so what happens is we can access awareness of our own patterns through any of those means. Some of us we might be more attuned to the physical sensation, what we're feeling in our body right now, right? But that's got a connection to a mental fluctuation, which others of us, or at different times in our life, we might be more aware of the thought that's going on. Or we might be more aware of how we're feeling emotionally, the chemical reaction connected to the physical sensation and the mental fluctuation. All right, I hope I'm not losing you guys here. This one might be one that you might want to re-listen to, and also, as I said, just test it out in your own system by deepening your awareness in your own barometer, your own physical framework of your body. For every physical sensation, there's a thought pattern or a mental fluctuation, and there's also a chemical reaction or an emotion. All right, so those three make up all the patterns in your life, right? So like I said at the beginning of this message, we can either be living consciously, right, and selecting our choices and actions based on our awareness of our physical sensation, our mental fluctuation, and our emotional chemical reaction. Or we can be living a compulsive existence, all right, where we're unaware of the physical sensation, the mental fluctuation or thought, or the chemical reaction or the emotion, all right? And so when we live compulsively, we're just stuck in a set of patterns that are, just memories of the past, basically. They're what we've grown up, to survive, what we've been taught, all the rest of it. But I don't know about you. Have you ever had those moments where you kind of can come out of that pattern and habitual living and just take a look around and go, oh, wow, what are people doing? I've often had this in my life as I've moved from location to location, and even as a kid, we moved interstate, and I remember coming back to my home state and nothing had changed, and it just felt just this stuckness, right? And I was just so grateful that I was no longer in that environment because of how much life experience I generated that was so different from what I may have if I just stayed in that one spot living that same habitual existence, right? And when we get those moments, those glimpses of sometimes we see it in others when we just feel like they're just doing the same old thing they've done all their life for the last 50 years, nothing's changed, right? And we can look at that, and sometimes we can see that in others more than we can in ourselves. And if you're anything like me, that's whoa, that's I don't want to live like that. I want to be really aware of how I'm living my life. And I don't want to just recreate the past. I actually want to explore possibilities and potentials, right? I want to get beyond what I know and get into the unknown. That's juicy to me, right? Albeit that there are certain aspects of living in this life that we do need to, not just lose our memories of the past and continue to have certain strategies for our survival and our living at play as a baseline. But the difference is in whether we are conscious of those patterns versus compulsively living them. And I'll let you know right now, conscious living is a life that you're choosing for yourself. It's an experience of reality as you'd want to experience it. Compulsive living is where we get stuck in pain and hurt and suffering and, fears and limitation, and we just repeat the same old cycle. But if you want to get off that hamster wheel, you have to start to build your conscious awareness around the patterns of your behaviors and actions. And that's what today's message is really all about. If you want to get access to the patterns, whether you're coming in from your awareness of the physical sensations or the thought patterns, you're building conscious awareness around your thought patterns, your mental fluctuations, or if it's on an emotional level, right? Accessing your awareness around what you're feeling on a chemical reactivity level, on that emotional level. Doesn't matter which vantage point you come in from. That's a little system, and it's at the basis of every single pattern in your life. And if you can change just one cog or become aware of just one cog in that system and shift it towards consciously what you want to be experiencing, then you can actually change the entire system of that pattern. And all of a sudden, you're starting to live more consciously, step by step, rather than compulsively. All right. And so I mentioned earlier that I wanted to share with you guys also the pattern, the The tool that's been most beneficial for me as I've been deepening in my awareness of those patterns at play within my own system, and albeit that, you know, I've used a ton of tools, and I don't call myself the human guinea pig of all things personal development and awareness for no reason. I really love testing out, you know, new tools and anything available to us to get that more awareness in my physical, my mental, and my emotional systems. Also my energetic system, but that's for another story. But the best tool that I've come across so far, or the one that landed most for me at a certain point of my development, was the tool of Vipassana. So Vipassana is a meditation technique that is so much more than that. It actually deepens your awareness of your physical sensation, and basically you go through a process where you're applying equanimity or non-reactivity, but deep awareness and full presence to every single sensation in your entire physical system. From the outside in, you're developing the cognitive ability or the neural pathways to be aware of your entire physical system. And as a result of practicing equanimity or non-reactivity in the pureness of awareness of every single sensation, basically, if every physical sensation is connected directly to a mental fluctuation and a chemical emotional reaction, then just by focusing on the physical sensation, you are purifying the pattern, right? It's no longer having that compulsive reaction in your system, and you're now more at choice point. I practice Vipassana every morning, every evening, on top of my other practices with yoga and breath work and on a spiritual path. When I talk about spirituality, it's really just deepening my awareness on a physical, mental, emotional, and energetic planes of my existence that we all have. And sorry, I'm a little bit pressed for time as usual. I'm still not getting the hang of this time management thing, but I definitely want to check in with you guys and your comments here. But Vipassana is something that everybody can access. It is something that is offered for free out of the goodwill of past students who have gotten so much benefit. I've served at these courses myself to help others, give the opportunity for them to experience it. So you might want to search it in your local area. It's an intensive commitment. Vipassana is a 10-day silent meditation retreat in order to learn the processes and techniques. But I really, really recommend it. I feel everybody should have an opportunity to experience that in their lives. But I definitely will talk about that later. If you guys have any questions, I'd love to chat with you guys about that. But I just want to check in before I have to race off. I've got Zebo and Michael and Bill. Very interesting. Love it. Loving that you're finding something interesting here today, Bill. So appreciate you showing up yet again. Always love seeing you join. And Mike, beautifully said, proactive versus reactive. Absolutely, Mike, spot on. Instead of living compulsively, we want to live consciously. Absolutely. And Dave and Sean, good to see you. And BJ is here as well. So much love for each and every one of you guys. I really hope today's message has served you, and I have to drive off. So I love so much love coming to each and every one of you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if this message is of value, please do share it. And any questions, any words of wisdom, please drop them in the comments. I can't wait to engage with you guys and expand the conversation. So much love. Have an amazing day, and choose to live more consciously in awareness today, and not so much from compulsion, by deepening your awareness of your physical sensation, mental fluctuations, emotional, chemical reactions. All right. Bye.